I'm Anil Kumar. Welcome to my series on functions. In this video, we are going to discuss 4 test problems. This is a prerequisite for calculus. The questions here are, question number 1, a ball thrown from the roof of a 60-meter tall building reaches maximum height of 80 meters after 2 seconds. State domain and range, determine equation of the function, find the time when the height of the ball was 75 meters. Question number 2. Consider the functions f of x equals to 2x squared minus 3x plus 5 and g of x equals to 3x minus 20. Find 2f of 1 minus 3. When is f of x equals to g of x? And part C is find f of 2b minus g 1 minus b. Question number 3. If f of x equals to x squared minus 2x plus 5, determine the inputs for x whose f of x is equal to 8. And the last question here is, write a function t of x to model the tax rate described below. First $50,000 is taxed at 7% and any income above $50,000 is taxed at 15%. You can always pause the video, answer these questions, and then look into my suggestions. Question number 1. A ball is thrown from a roof of 60-meter tall building, reaches maximum height of 80 meters after 2 seconds. We need to state domain and range. Let's kind of make a rough sketch of the situation, right? So if you throw a ball, it is definitely going to fall on the ground. So let's say this is the parabolic path which it takes. So that is our assumption, right? To answer this question, we have an assumption which is parabolic path, right? No air resistance, no turbulence, right? So a smooth curve as shown here. It is thrown from the height of 60 meters. It reaches a maximum of 80 meters after 2 seconds, right? So let this be h with time, and this is time on this axis. We need to state domain and range. Well, to state the domain, we should now find when will the ball land. So the domain is 0 from that time, correct? Part B is to determine the equation of the function itself. So I think we'll have to first find the equation and then only we'll be in a position to write domain of this particular function. Range is clear. It is from 0 to maximum of 80, right? So we'll actually begin with part B, right? And we'll first find the equation of the function. So we'll start with part B. Let us say the function is h of time. It is definitely a function of time. Since we are given this particular vertex, maximum height, which happens at time 2 seconds, height of 80, that gives you an idea. Parabola in vertex form, we can write this as a t minus 2 when it gets the maximum height of 80, right? Whole square plus 80. So that becomes the equation. We need to find the value of a, which we can find using the given point. So we'll now substitute at t equals to 0, the height is 60. So when you substitute this, we get 60 equals to a times 0 minus 2 whole square plus 80. So that gives you, we'll do 60 minus 80, right? 2 square is 4, 4a. So we have this as minus 20 divided by 4, and we get the value of a, which is equal to minus 5. So that gives you the function, which is h of t equals to minus 5 t minus 2 whole square plus 80. Is that clear to you? So we've done part B. Now let's figure out when will the height be 0. So at this point height is going to be 0, right? So let's figure this out. Now let's answer part A. Let me take it on the right side. So we have the equation h of t equals to minus 5 t minus 2 whole square plus 8t. Now when h equals to 0, we need to find what t is. So minus 5, we need to find what t is, plus 8t. Taking it to this side, right, dividing by minus 5, we get t minus 2 whole square. And this is 40. So when you divide, you get 1, and that is 30, which is 16, right? And well, this is minus and minus becomes positive. When you take 80 to this side, that is negative. Divide by negative gives you 16. And we get t minus 2 whole square. So square root of 16 will be t minus 2. And this is equal to 4, right? So we get 4 equals to t minus 2. So from here, we can find the value of t. Now remember, when you do square root, you should do plus and minus, right? So you could do plus and minus. So you get plus and minus 4. However, in this case, we definitely know that t is greater than 0. So you have to take positive value, right? So we get 4 plus 2 equals to t, which is 6. So we get the time t as 6. Clear? So this time when the ball drops is 6 seconds. Time is in seconds. Height is in meters. So for A, we can write down now the domain and the range, right? So let's write domain, which is t belongs to real numbers, and the value of t is between 0 and 6. As far as the range is concerned, we know that the height belongs to real numbers and is between 0 and 80, right? So it's between 0 and 80. So that is how we could answer domain and range, but we first need to find when will the ball land, right? Now let's try to answer part C. Part C is find the time when the height of the ball is 75 meters. So we'll now substitute 75 in our equation, which is right here. Substituting 75 for height minus 5 t minus 2 whole square plus 80. Let's bring 80 this side. So we get 75 minus 80 equals to 5 times t minus 2 whole square. So which is 5. So we get 5 divided by 5 equals to t minus 2 whole square. Now that is 1. So square root of 1 will be plus and minus will be equals to t minus 2. So that actually gives you two different answers. So we get t equals 2, bringing 2 on this side, 2 plus minus 1, right? So the two answers are 2 minus 1 is 1 and 2 plus 1 is 3. So we can now write down the answer here as the time t will be equals to 1 second and 3 seconds for height equals to 75 meters. Is that clear? So that is how we are going to solve this particular question. I hope all the steps are absolutely clear. So the very first thing you need to do here is to find the equation of the parabolic path. We have made this as an assumption that the ball thrown will follow a parabolic path. Using the vertex form of the equation, since we are given the maximum height, we could actually find the equation. And from the equation equating height to 0, we found the time when it is going to hit the ground. So the domain will be from 0 to that time, which resulted into 6. And to do the part C, we equated height as 75 and then calculated the value of t. So I hope you find it perfectly useful, and it is a very important question from test point of view. Let's move on and take the next question now. Question number 2. Consider the function f of x equals to 2x squared minus 3x plus 5 and g of x equals to 3x minus 20. Find f of 2 times f of 1 minus 3. When is f of x equals to g of x? And part C is find f of 2b minus g of 1 minus b. So let's do part A first, which is 2 times f of 1 minus 3, right? So that really means f of 1 means substitute 1 for x, right? So we have 2 times. So when I substitute 1 here, I get 2 times 1 square minus 3 times 1 plus 5, right? So that is f of 1 within these brackets. And then we have minus 3. Is that clear to you? So that is how we are going to calculate, right? So we get 2 times 1 square is 1, so we get 2 minus 3 plus 5 minus 3, and that gives you 2 times 5 plus 2, 7, minus 3 is 7 minus 3 is 4, minus 3, so 8 minus 3 is equal to 5, right? So we get this value as equal to 5, correct? So that is how we are going to get part A. Now let's do part B. Part B is when is f of x equals to g of x? That really means we'll equate these two, right? F of x is 2x squared minus 3x plus 5 and g of x is 3x minus 20. Bringing them together, we get 2x squared minus 3x plus 5 minus 3x plus 20 equals to 0. Now that gives you 2x squared minus 3x is minus 6x, 5 plus 20 is 25, right? Equals to 0. Now we are looking for, we'll try to factor this. We are looking for product of 50, right? We're looking for product of 50 and sum of minus 6. Sum of minus 6. So 5 times 10, so it doesn't really work out. So if it is difficult to work out, then we could just use quadratic formula. So now we are going to use the quadratic formula to find this particular solution. So we can say x is equals to minus b, which is 6, plus minus square root of b squared, which is 36, minus 4ac. So 4 times 25 is 100. 100 times 2 is 200. So 200 over 2 times a, which is 4, right? So we get a value which is x equals to 6 plus minus. Now within the square root we have something which is negative, and therefore we have no solution. So f of x is never equal to g of x. Perfect. Now let's look into part C. Find f of 2p minus g of 1 minus p, right? So that really means we'll replace x with 2b. So f of 2b means we'll write this as 2 times replacing x with 2b. So we get 2b whole square minus 3 times 2b plus 5, right? Minus g of 1 minus b. That means it's better to use square brackets, replacing x with 1 minus b. So we get 3 times 1 minus b minus 20, correct? Let's expand this. 2 square is 4, so we get 4b square times 2, which is 8b square. Here we get minus 6b plus 5, open this bracket, minus 3, minus and minus becomes plus 3b, this minus and minus becomes plus 20. Now we can write this as 8b square. The b terms, minus 6b and plus 3b, gives us minus 3b. And then we have 5 minus 3 is 2, plus 20 is 22. So that is the expression for f of 2b minus g of 1 minus b should be equal to 8b square minus 3b plus 22. Is that clear? So that is how we are going to solve question number 2. So I hope the concept is clear, right? Now let's move on and take question number 3. Question number 3 is, if f of x equals to x squared minus 2x plus 5, determine the inputs for x whose f of x is 8. So basically, we'll substitute 8 for f of x and we'll figure out what is x. So the equation now is 8 equals to x squared minus 2x plus 5. Taking 8 to the right side, we get 0 equals to x squared minus 2x plus 5 minus 8. And that gives us 0 equals to x squared minus 2x, and that is minus 3. We can factor the right hand side, and we could write this as, well, we can split this as minus 3 times 1, right, plus 1. So minus 3x plus x minus 3. You could directly write this in the factored form. Well, I've taken additional steps here. Okay, so that is how we are going to factor in steps. However, it could have been done directly, right? X minus 3 times x plus 1 is the factor. So the two values for which f of x is 8 is x equals to 3 and x equals to minus 1. Is that clear? So that is how we are going to solve it. Well, some of you could have directly done from here, written this as 0 equals to x minus 3 times x plus 1, correct? There is no need of doing these steps. You know product and sum, correct? Now here is the last part of this, question number 4. Write a function t of x to model the tax rate described below. First 50,000 is taxed at 7% and any income above 50,000 is taxed at 15%. So we have a two-tier tax rate, right? So one is for the first 50,000 and it is taxed at 7%. 7% means 0.07. So it is 0.07 of any amount x. Now this amount x should be less than equal to 50,000, correct? Of course, it will be greater than equal to 0, right? Now, for income more than 50,000, tax rate is 15%, right? So that really means 0.15 times x minus 50,000, right? Now that much more than this, right? So we have to also add the tax for the first 50,000, right? So how much is that? Let's calculate on the side and then we can write this expression. So we could do 50,000 times 0.07 and that will give us 7 times 5 is 35, right? So, and 2 zeros get cancelled, so 35,000, right? So 3,500, 3,500, correct? So we take care of 2 zeros, we get 7 times 5 is 35, so 3,500. So that is going to be 3,500 will be taxed on the first 50,000, and anything over it will be charged at 15%. So I hope that is absolutely clear, right? So x greater than 50,000. Is that clear to you? So that is how you are going to write down your expression. Well, some of you can always expand this and simplify it further. However, it is good enough, right? So I hope with this you understand how to use function notation to write functions for the given situations. Feel free to write a comment, share your views, and if you like and subscribe to my videos, that'd be great. Thanks for your time and all the best.